Second scene begins with the Minister Grumper expressing discontent over the princess raising the salaries of the people in the kingdom, arguing that she should not have done so. Their conversation is interrupted by a woman who appears to be mad. Her name is Pearl, who informs them that the Duke is coming with an army of cubes and cylinders. Minister Grumper tells the princess that she can escape through the man's portal while he takes her place until she returns. Before I begin decoding the second scene, let's familiarize ourselves with the symbolism and archetypes present in old fairy tales. The princess represents the soul. In fairy tales, the soul is portrayed as a princess, gentle, naive and pure. Her name is Oriana, and the kingdom where she lives is also called Oriana. The meaning of the word Oriana is gold. The minister represents a part of the human psyche that psychologist Schwartz described as the manager. The role of the manager in the human system is to protect the exiles, in this case, the soul, which is about to be banished from the system. In addition to managers, there are firefighters, who step in when managers can no longer suppress the exiled part of the soul. When the soul is banished or suppressed, the managers take over temporarily, occupying the soul's place until it returns or heals. Now, what revealed that the Minister Grumper is actually the manager? As you may have noticed, the minister immediately began calculating with soul and debating the allocation of money, and calculations are typical managerial behavior. I will explain Schwartz's psychology of exiles and protectors in more detail shortly, but let's continue the story. Pearl enters the scene and informs the soul that the evil duke is coming with his army to conquer and subjugate the kingdom of Oriana and capture the princess. Notice how Pearl constantly mentions signs and indicators that such an event is inevitable. However, the soul, being naive, ignored the sign along the way, and now she will pay the price for it. Having disbanded the army, the soul has no means to defend the kingdom, and naively believes that the people will rise against the duke and his army. Of course, the people did not rise against him. Instead, they fled in fear. So, who is Pearl in a symbolic sense? Pearl represents signs along the way that we humans, in our naivety, ignore daily. How many times have you ignored signs along the way? How many times have you experienced someone in your life showing you disrespect or engaging in toxic behavior, but you rationalized it by saying, well, they're not that bad. We've known each other for a long time, and they probably didn't mean it that way, only for that disrespect to later turn into betrayal, deceit, or something far worse. How many times have you maintained a relationship with people who don't wish you well, just because you believe it's impolite to remove toxic individuals from your life? How many times have you felt heavy emotions, but continually swept them under the rug, rationalizing them by saying, oh, I'm fine, the anger I feel will pass, and I just need to cool off, or something similar. Naturally, the more you ignore your emotions, the more they accumulate within you, the more they will create chaos in your life. The minister advises the princess to escape through a secret passage that leads to the demands portal, so that she can call for help from the only part that can protect her. He says the duke won't harm him much, and this is true because the minister or manager is essential to the duke for him to control the system. The princess lives with Pearl, and on the throne where the princess once sat, now sits the minister, who stands for manager, as we explained previously. And who is the duke and his army of cubes and cylinders, from which the princess is fleeing? We'll discuss that later, but in the meantime, try to guess. Now you know that the princess is actually the anima, the immature soul. Pearl represents signs along the way that the unrefined, immature soul unconsciously ignores, and Minister Grumper is the manager, a part of the defense mechanisms that takes place of the soul while it is suppressed.